Israel, a tiny country with a significant global presence, often evokes intense emotions and opinions. For those who have not lived here or immersed themselves in Israeli history, culture, and society, many aspects of the Jewish state can be deeply confusing. Understanding these aspects requires empathy and a willingness to engage with Israel's unique historical and social context. We asked a diverse group of individuals from various countries to share what they find perplexing about Israel. Below are 5 themes that emerged, each reflecting a misunderstanding or controversy that highlights the complexity of this unique nation. As these random people illustrate, what confuses us about Israel often stems from the interplay of universal struggles and particular circumstances. Only through dialogue and education can these misunderstandings begin to be bridged. Number 1, why does Israel seem so militarized? Quote, when I see pictures of teenagers in uniform holding rifles, it's hard not to think of war zones. Why is mandatory military service such a big part of life there? Said Jackson from Canada. For many, Israel's compulsory military service for most citizens at age 18 symbolizes perpetual conflict. Yet, for Israelis, the military is as much a rite of passage as a national necessity. Given the country's geopolitical reality, surrounded by nations historically hostile to its existence, the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, play a critical role in ensuring security. Military service also fosters a sense of national cohesion in a society marked by diverse cultural and ethnic backgrounds. What's more, military service offers young people both tangible and intangible skills that they often further develop via higher education and in their eventual careers. Many veterans credit their time in the IDF with instilling discipline, teamwork, and leadership abilities that serve them well in civilian life. The Army also equips many Israelis with a wide array of hard skills, like project management, software and hardware development, data analysis, communications, combat, technology, logistics, medicine, fitness, and engineering. Approximately 20 to 25% of soldiers in the IDF serve in combat positions. This percentage includes individuals in infantry, armored corps, artillery, and other roles directly involved in combat operations. The remaining soldiers fulfill vital support roles, including intelligence, logistics, technology, medical services, and administrative functions, which are essential to the IDF's overall operational effectiveness. This distribution reflects the IDF's need to maintain a balance between combat capabilities and the infrastructure required to sustain military readiness and effectiveness. But it also means that most soldiers are not in combat positions. Number 2, why is religion so intertwined with politics? Quote, I'm confused about how a country can be both a democracy and a Jewish state. Isn't that contradictory? Said Charlotte from France. The relationship between religion and state in Israel perplexes many who come from countries with strict separations between the two. Israel defines itself as both a Jewish and democratic state, which can appear contradictory when religious laws influence public policies. For example, the rabbinate's authority over marriage, conversion, and dietary laws sparks ongoing debates about individual freedoms versus national identity. This tension is further complicated by the diverse spectrum of Jewish observance within the country, from ultra-Orthodox to secular Jews, as well as the significant non-Jewish minority populations that live under a legal framework which prioritizes Jewish traditions and customs. Balancing these competing perspectives while maintaining democratic principles remains one of Israel's most enduring and contentious challenges. As a democracy, Israel upholds key democratic values, such as free elections, an independent judiciary, freedom of speech, and protections for minorities. These democratic ideals are integral to its identity, shaping the way it governs and interacts with its diverse population. At the same time, for the vast majority of Israelis, Israel's identity as a Jewish state is fundamental and non-negotiable. This dual commitment to democracy and to its Jewish character stems from a unique historical context. The modern establishment of the State of Israel in 1948 was seen as the realization of the Zionist vision, a safe haven and national homeland for the Jewish people after centuries of persecution, culminating in the horrors of the Holocaust. The state's Jewish character provides a sense of cultural continuity, religious freedom for Jews, and security in an often uncertain geopolitical landscape. For many Israelis, the Jewishness of the state transcends religion. It is also about culture, language, and historical identity. Hebrew is the national language. Jewish holidays shape the rhythm of public life, and the law of return ensures that any Jew anywhere in the world can immigrate to Israel and gain citizenship. These are seen not as mere administrative choices, but as expressions of the Jewish people's right to self-determination. Balancing these commitments to democracy and to being a Jewish state is not without challenges. It requires Israel to carefully navigate complex questions about minority rights, religious pluralism, and equality. For most Israelis, though, the state's Jewish identity is seen as the foundation of its democracy, not its contradiction. It is what gives the democratic project in Israel its particular purpose: to safeguard the future of the Jewish people in a way that respects individual freedoms and civil rights. The insistence on maintaining Israel as a Jewish state reflects a broad consensus within the Israeli mainstream. For many, this is not an ideological rigidity, but a recognition of the existential need to preserve a homeland that offers both security and a sense of belonging to Jews worldwide. This perspective is not intended to diminish the rights of non-Jewish citizens, but rather to affirm a historical and moral imperative that resonates deeply within Israeli society. Number 3. Are all Israelis religious? Quote, "I always thought all Israelis were deeply religious," said Felipe from Argentina. While Israel is a Jewish state, it encompasses a broad spectrum of religious observance and identity among its citizens. The answer is simply no. Not all Israelis are religious in the conventional sense. However, for the vast majority, there's a deep cultural, historical, and national connection to Judaism and pride in our homeland. Israelis range from strictly observant Jews who adhere to Jewish law to secular Jews who may not practice religion in a formal sense, but feel strongly connected to Jewish culture, history, and identity. Between these poles lies a rich middle ground of varying practices and beliefs. Some Israelis attend synagogue only on major holidays, while others celebrate Shabbat with a family dinner rather than strict religious rituals. Still, others may find spiritual meaning in Jewish traditions without identifying as religious. This diversity reflects the complexity of Jewish identity itself. Judaism is not only a religion, but also a civilization, a peoplehood, and a shared history. For many Israelis, pride in being Jewish and in the State of Israel as the Jewish homeland is expressed through cultural and historical connections rather than simply through religious observance. The Hebrew language, Jewish holidays, and the collective memory of Jewish resilience and survival shape a sense of belonging that transcends formal religiosity. Even among secular Israelis, there is often an inherent respect for Jewish tradition and its role in shaping the nation's identity. For example, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is widely observed across Israel, even by those who may not fast or pray. The streets fall silent, cars disappear, and a shared sense of reverence pervades the country. These moments highlight how Judaism, in its broadest sense, weaves through Israeli life. At its core, most Israelis take great pride in their Jewish identity, not just as a matter of faith, but as a legacy of thousands of years of history, culture, and connection to the land. This pride often manifests as a deep sense of responsibility to uphold and preserve the Jewish homeland for future generations. It is a pride that fuels resilience, creativity, and determination, whether they express it in prayer, through cultural celebrations, or simply by living and thriving in the land of our ancestors. In this way, the diversity of religious observance in Israel is not a division, but a testament to the richness of Jewish identity. It is a reminder that Judaism, and by extension Israeli society, is as much about the shared story of a people as it is about individual beliefs and practices. Number 4. Why are there so many protests in Israel? Quote, every time I read about Israel, it seems like people are protesting something. Why is there so much unrest? Said Layla from India. Protests are a hallmark of Israeli democracy, where political engagement is exceptionally high. From judicial reforms to LGBTQ plus rights to housing prices, Israelis frequently take to the streets to voice their opinions. This vibrant protest culture reflects a society that values active participation in shaping its future. However, the frequency and intensity of these demonstrations can confuse outsiders, who may perceive them as signs of instability rather than indicators of a robust democratic ethos. Amongst the Jews, there is a saying, which is very much prevalent in Israel: 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Number 5. Why is this conflict with the Palestinians so out of control? Quote, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict seems never-ending. Why can't they just agree on a solution? Said Thomas from Australia. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the world's most contentious and misunderstood issues. While some see it as a simple matter of land disputes, the conflict is, at least according to first principles, not about land. It is, frankly, about anti-Semitism. Palestinian leadership, dating back to at least the 1930s, has refused time and again to genuinely recognize a Jewish state in the Jews' indigenous homeland. Whereas most Israelis have no problem recognizing a Palestinian state alongside Israel, provided that this Palestinian state does not pose a security risk. There are many dimensions to Palestinian anti-Semitism, some of which have nothing to do with the Palestinians. They are imposed on the Palestinians by other actors, both past and present, to advance these countries' geopolitical aims. Examples of past actors include Egypt, Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon, and examples of present actors include Iran and Qatar. We have written and podcasted extensively about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and its history and current state. If you are interested in learning about these dimensions, consider going to our platform, Future of Jewish, at www.futureofjewish.com and search for these essays. 1. Palestinian history doesn't reflect so positively on the Palestinian cause. 2. The massacre that ignited the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. 3. Why there is no Palestinian state. 4. This secret loophole sparked the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. 5. The top 10 false premises driving Israeli-Palestinian news coverage. 6. Everything you know about Israeli settlements is wrong. And lastly, number 7. The booming business of Palestinian victimhood. Bonus. Why do people accuse Israel of apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide? People accuse Israel of apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide because throwing around sensational terms is easier than intellectually and honestly grappling with complex realities. In a country where non-Jews serve in parliament, the judiciary, and as doctors treating Jewish patients, these accusations do not just absurdly miss the mark. They ignore the existence of a thriving, if imperfect, democracy. Some questions are so detached from facts that answering them feels like indulging in a bad joke. Thanks, but no thanks.